Welcome and good morning. Thank you for joining us for today's MLS webinar brought to you by your MLS staff here at GSBR. Today, our topic is going to be the MLS remarks, the do's and don'ts, what can be entered and what can't, to help you stay in line with MLS rules and regulations. So this title is Writing Within the Lines, and we're going to jump right in here with our slides and start off talking about the purpose of the marketing remarks field. The purpose is to provide a descriptive information of the property. Use this section for property descriptions. And a good rule of thumb to follow, as it was explained to me, the marketing remarks are to describe the property. It's to market the property. It's not to market, say, myself or my brokerage. So if you keep that in mind, that's one of the main things that's going to keep you out of trouble with misuse of remarks. We're going to get into that specifically here in just a minute. You also want to keep information that's pertinent to the listing property. Relevance is key. And then remember your code of ethics, truth and transparency, always portray an accurate representation of the property to potential buyers. So leaving out anything that's critical that you know could be misrepresentative. So same as it is in listing photos and things like that, same goes for marketing remarks. Before we go any further, I want to make clear the marketing remarks field is what we call a public field. And it's one of the public fields that gets syndicated or shared out to brokerage websites. So these fields are approved for buyers, potential consumers to view. So we're going to talk about the difference a little bit between the market remarks, which is public, and then agent remarks, which is a private field, and what can and can't be listed in agent remarks. That is going to be seen by other MLS participants within the MLS. Or in their back office products versus what's consumer facing in a public field. So as we said, we want to be descriptive of the property, and sometimes those remarks can be used to provide additional information of the home where there's not necessarily maybe a field in the MLS specific to your need. For one example is how to handle gutted homes. So when you're listing a gutted home, you want to keep it within the property type. As if it weren't a gutted home, what would it be? That would be the property type or subtype. And then be specific. The marketing remarks are going to give you the opportunity to talk about the condition in the remarks. And same goes for possibly new construction. Where are you at in the build? You're going to put the expected year built completion date in the year built field. But if you have more information that's relevant, if there's opportunity to say that the list price is based on certain specs, and those may change if you add customizations, anything that's going to add additional transparency for that potential consumer, that would be a good place to provide that. So those are the uses, intended uses for those public remarks. And let's talk about what we don't want to include in the marketing remarks. So first and foremost is what we refer to as branding in the rules and regulations. So branding is any type of publicly available information about yourself or your brokerage. It's not, and like I said before, the remarks and other public fields, including public photos, aren't intended to market the brokerage, the agent. It's to market the property to consumers. So first, you don't want to include contact information such as phone numbers and email. I want to be very careful. If I wrote some marketing remarks and I put them on, say, my social media, or maybe in a flyer or something like that, anywhere off MLS, you absolutely include those details, contact information in your flyers and marketing outside the MLS. But be sure if you're copying over content, to exclude those phone numbers and calls to action, which we'll talk about in just a minute. You also want to omit website URLs and social media links that might be in those comments. That includes, if it's not maybe my social media site or my brokerage website, if I have, say, a subdivision website, for example, and maybe I'm a preferred agent and they've got my information on that site. If there's a site that links to anything that is branded to you, you want to make sure that you leave that off the public remarks. And again, that goes for company names as well. We got really familiar with this rule here in the last 6 months. No cooperative compensation. Commissions are to be negotiated off MLS. So that includes comments that may say, no commission paid on seller concessions, anything like that, even if it's not a specific amount. Just remember that it is all handled off MLS, and you can convey that in other ways, but not on the listing, either in private or public remarks. Next slide. We do have some guidelines when we talk about builder information. So the name of a builder may be really good information for a consumer to have. It may talk about the quality of a home. Particular builder may be known for certain things, and that would be good information for a consumer to have. So you may include the builder's name in the marketing remarks because that is relevant to the property description. You can say that a model home is available to view so that they can see, a finished home. But you do want to avoid any contact information, just as you would for a broker or an agent, leading a consumer to contact a builder or their sales team directly. Lastly, here we're talking about calls to action, and this is a little more vague and subjective, and this is where many people get tripped up. So I want to be sure you look at these examples. So a call to action would be a prompt for a potential buyer to contact the listing agent or office in that public description. So we know I can't put my phone number, I can't put my website, I can't put my brokerage name, but I also don't want to lead the consumer to think that they need to only call the listing office to get information about the property. So we have fair competition within the MLS. We have our brokers and agents. We are cooperating together, but we're also still competitors, right? So I don't want to use remarks that says, call us to schedule your showing, or this won't last long, call us today, or contact listing office for more info, because a consumer could contact any buyer representative and get that information and work with a buyer agent of their choosing. So that is a commonplace that's especially easy if you're writing out your marketing materials. Read through them a couple of times and make sure you don't have any type of language that is directing a consumer to contact you directly, even if you're not using your phone number. We do have specific rules on a couple of our MLS rule sections with requirements of what to enter into marketing remarks. And one of those is coming soon listings. So if you're doing coming soon, or if you've done one, you know there is a big long list of requirements, but specific to marketing remarks, you do want to put coming soon, no showings until such and such date, your start showing date in the remarks. You're also going to display that on the primary photo, which is also going to be publicly viewable. So it's very clear to someone that sees the listing because those do get syndicated out to brokerage websites and portal websites. So consumers are seeing those and they will know that there's no showings currently, but they will be available shortly. And they will know when that date is. You want to remember when you go and your listing rolls over to active, you're at your start showing date, to update promptly, to remove the coming soon remarks and the coming soon text on the photo once showings are available. So then you don't have that conflicting and confusing language, so that a buyer thinks that property isn't available to them to view once it hits active status on your start showing date. Again, clarity and transparency are key. And I wanted to mention fractional ownership listings. So we have added in a new property subtype. This was approved earlier in 2024, and our Flex developer team has just now is getting ready to roll this out. And when you have a fractional ownership listing, it's real property. It's been divided into shares. The MLS is going to allow up to 1/13 of a share to be listed on MLS. And this is whenever you have tenants in common deed with deeded interest in a specific real property. That will probably be a different webinar to talk about the differentiation between fractional ownership. It's not the same thing as a timeshare. It's different. So we'll talk about that on another day. But if you do have this type of listing, the fields are going to be in there so that you can list that fractional ownership in the property accurately on MLS. And you do want to make it very clear to consumers that this looks like a multi-million property, but maybe it's listed for, a couple $100,000. To make it very clear, you want to add in the remarks that state this is a fractional ownership property. So that's going to be included in the listing fields, but we want to post it everywhere we can to make that very clear to consumers. Okay, so that covers really the uses and misuses potentially of the marketing remarks. Let's then take a look at agent remarks. So agent remarks are to other agents that have access to the MLS. They are private, confidential, and the purpose is to convey confidential information. So those are for broker or agent only instructions. You may see things like there's pets in the home, or please be sure to turn off all the lights, or special instructions such as that. Never share this information with buyers or tenants. So know that is part of the private report, and you want to keep those details out of public view. So if you're sharing a report or a listing with a client through email or flyer, be sure you're always printing out the public report when it's going to potential buyers or tenants. There are a couple of things that you don't want to put in agent remarks. And the first of those is, again, compensation information. We're not allowing that in private remarks or public. And another is lockbox or garage codes. And although that is in a private field, there still is a small potential for the wrong report to be sent. And that could be a very serious security issue. So showing instructions, that is a confidential field as well. So only other agents see that, but please never put in a garage or a combination code in there in case it does get in the hands of consumers. So you always want to make sure you call or text to provide that. That concludes our list. Key takeaways: intended use of the remarks field, describe the property. Keep it relevant to the property, keep it accurate, keep it transparent, avoid personal information for yourself, for your brokerage. Follow the coming soon rules by adding those instructions in the public remarks, and keep agent remarks and confidential information private by double checking you're sending the right reports. Thanks for joining us today for another MLS webinar, and we will talk to you soon. Thank you.